This afternoon, Yerushalmi Shevi'is, and the article goes by addition from the second line of Nun Ches Amud Aleph, Hatani, which in the Vilna is on Chaf Amud Aleph, the third line by that, Vatani. And again, today, all of our learning should be discussed for Yoshua Eretz Yisrael and all the soldiers who are fighting and all the hostages in captivity against our enemies in Gaza, Yimach Shemam Zichram. So yesterday we said that by vegetables we go after Lakita, and therefore that Rabbi Yochanan Leiskan Shishis Mishvis Shishis El Shvis. The vegetables grew during the 6th year and grew into the 7th year are all shvius, because by vegetables go after Lakita, supposed to fruit which goes after Chanata. So now we have the Gemara brings a Baisa. Tani, didn't we learn a Brisa? Haseva Azova Kornis. These are vegetables, which the Mishnah is going to say later on in Paraches Mishnah Aleph that they're not usually eaten necessarily, and they're usually considered to be firewood or some other source of lumber, unless you had a machshava for the purpose of eating. So we learned concerning Aseh by Zeva Karnis, Misho Vilon, once you brought them, and the assumption is you didn't bring them, you planted them, Lachatzer, in the courtyard. If they grew wild, of course they're hefker and they're part from mice. But if you gather them up from the sun and brought them into the chutzner and planted them in the chutzner, then now you're planting them for the purpose of eating them, and therefore they do have a chayv and maisrus because they're being cultivated now. Then they're chayiv in maisrus. If it was the second year going to the third year, shlishis. They go after the third year, which means they're chayiv in meiser ani, which is every third and 6th year. Shishis l'shvis, but when they go from the 6th year to the 7th year, shishis. They are from the 6th year. So, question is, why the difference? I should say, I had here. It says in the Gemara Shel Vilon, the Kamrak changed it, and I read according to Kamrak Misho Vilon. I don't think that makes a difference. Question is, why by Mises to go after the next year, and by Shvis to go after the previous year? They're going backwards, they're going forwards. Yossi says, Shlishis u'shvis, the 6th year, the 3rd year and the 6th year. Afalpi she'ein b'hem meiser sheni. There's no meiser sheni, of course, in the 3rd and 6th year. Yesh b'hem meiserus. They have a meiserus. Now, of course, the meiser which they have is meiser ani, right? So the shvis is that's not makes it. That's not what makes the difference. Well, perhaps it does. But anyway, let's see a moment later, forward. Shvius ain't bo meisus kolikor. Shvius has no meisus. So therefore, okay, it's a suffix tevel. We're not sure on that which goes in the 6th year to the 7th year is it tevel or is it not tevel? So therefore, from the 2nd to the 3rd year, either way, going to take a meiser. It's going to be meiser sheni and meiser ani. So put it in the 3rd year. You're going to give a meiser ani, but you're going to give meiser. That's the main thing. The 6th to 7th year, if you make it shvi, it's not going to have meisers. So therefore, this suffix, whether it should be chayav and meisers or not, we put it back into the shishis. So evidently, it seems that even if you bring it to the chutzner and mistam it's mishumar, it's still a suffix if it's chayav, and therefore. Since the suffix, we want to make sure that if it's shel shishis, so then you're going to go back and do meisus from it according to the 6th year, supposed to according to the 7th year where there would be no meisus. So Gemara says, "Lo chen amar bo shem yochel leis kam shishis l'shvis el shvius." What do you mean? what's the? We just said before. There's no suffix. You always got the Shevi'is, right? When you have a case of shishis for Shevi'is, and it's a vegetable, which these are, if you decide to grow them, you go after Shevi'is. So why don't you go according to Rabbi Yechon, this price is difficult. Why would suddenly you say, no, you go back to shishis? So it says, Taman, B'shus HaBailim. There, in the case of the previous cases, they are we're talking about wild shoots, which even though might be in fields, normally in forests, even though they might be in fields, when they're during Shemitah, they are already considered to be in the Rishus of the Ani, and whoever picks them up, of course, but hopefully Aniyim, and Pater Meister Medin Hefker. And that's true even if they are considered to be payros of the 6th year, because they grew Hefker. They weren't put into Chotzer. They were either in the forest or at worst out in the field. As opposed to Seh and Ezo, which are in the Chotzer, they're not Hefker. Right? Since there's a suffix that perhaps they moved from the 6th year, so therefore they have a concern that perhaps they're tevel. So the question is, all right, why don't you give both halachas misafik? Say it's a shishis for ma'aser, but also it's gusha shvi'is. So the Gemara says, I can't read my next word here. Hein mutav litin le echa bevadai v'lo shnayim b'safik. A fascinating thing here. It says that they are. It's better to give them one halacha, which is for sure that we can sure keep, and not two halachas, because when the two halachas, he might be boshea and not do either one. In one halacha, he'll do that, and we prefer to give shishis because if you give it shvi'is, so then he might come to not meiser and not give. Well, if you give him both, he might come to do neither, right? So therefore, we said just do one, not the other. Okay, so that's okay. Rabbi Yechon as well, because they grew in a chotzer, and they start going shishis, so therefore they should have to have this. They have a status of at least a suffix of a status of meshumar, and therefore they should go after they grew in his rishus. Meshumar is the wrong term because that has also loaded connotations for Shemitah. They grew in his rishus, and therefore the chazakas are the chayv ma'asos, as opposed to stuff which goes wild. So when we storm its hefker, and even if you then harvested it, it remains in the cheskas hefker, or what the Gemara calls here rishus ani, and therefore it has the din of Shevi'is. Okay, so now again, as he said, we talk about the lulave Allah and bitna; those are the ones who normally go wild. And then it said at the end of the Mishnah, "Alin yesh beer minei shenoshim lan yesh beer minei shenoshim beim." The alin do a beer, the leaves do a beer. So now Gemara says, "Alim shkav shenu lavim." What if you soaked the leaves with the shoots, and now they give nosi time to each other? Is Tane, there are those who learn bein elu yesh lehem biur. So there are those who say that both of them now have the halacha biur because they give taste to each other. These Tane bein elu lehem biur. Those who say that neither of them have biur. This evidently there is, according to this opinion, there's a kasav, which that if you this is a kabel tam from the heter, the mean then it saves the mean, which is balua. How should I put this? If according to this opinion, which is a radical opinion, if something is chayv in biur, but it's boleh at time, something which is not chayv in biur, and it has that tam, so then it's not chayv in biur. So the shoots, since they got the tam from the alin, it's the other way around. Since the alin got the tam from the shoots, the leaves got tam from the shoots, so therefore they no longer chayv in biur. That's the second opinion. Yesh lem biur, alin yesh lem biur. As to say, no, they remain. Each remains its own category. The leaves have a biur. The lulavim and the lulavim don't have biur. Now the Kavanaki puts in here a line. Man de Amar Yesh lem biur, Rabbi Eliezer. The man de Amar Yesh lem biur is Rabbi Eliezer, and that he says who says later on in Perek Tes Mishnah Dalet that Ochlin ala Risho, that immediately when the time of biur comes, of one of the things in which there's soaked, when many meaning are soaked together, you go after the first thing, everything is chayiv in biur, from the moment of the earliest one being chayiv. So here too, you go after one being chayiv, and they're both chayiv. Manamar ein lam biur, the shita which has that they have no biur, that's Rabbi Yoshua, and Rabbi Yoshua later on in Perek Tes, what he says is, well, the opposite of Eliezer, that you go after the last thing in the batch. In other words, you have a bunch of vegetables pickled together. You go after a vegetable which is last in terms of biur. That's so here, since one of them is potter in Gansen, altogether potter from biur, so that's like the achron, and therefore you follow that one, and they're all potter from biur. And the Gemara says that lulavin ein lam biur, the opinion which holds that the alin had biur and the lulavin don't have biur, that's Rama Gamliel. And Gamliel holds that that later on in Perek Tes, each one goes after its own time, and therefore here one has biur, one doesn't have biur, even though they were soaked together. In the article now we have a header. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Ein l'ktav shvi'is dimnei no pri. Sap doesn't have shvi'is because it's not a peri. Rabbi Padas, Rabbi Yosef, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Asid Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Shimon is going like Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanina Tamon, we learned over there, I'm Rabbi Yeshua Shamati. I heard Shamamid b'straf halin, b'straf hikarin. If you make cheese, and evidently there's a way to make cheese using sap from leaves or sap from roots, and you used the sap from a roots from the orla tree, so mutter. It's mutter because they don't have a status of orla, only a fruit does. B'srap pagim aser. If you use the sap of the of unripe fruit, then that, which I guess also has the same properties, then that's also because mideshu peri, because that is considered to be the fruit. So here too, the sap is not going to have kedusha shvi'is. That is why Rabbi Shimon says, "Any type of shvi'is mideshu no pri." Amalei Bazil Rabbi Das. Rabbi Zil said to Rabbi Das, "Come on, Tematon Loch Rabbi Shimon, come on, Loch Rabbi Shimon." We say here, just like we say Loch Rabbi Shimon over there, that Ktaf doesn't have doesn't din orla. So do we here say Loch Rabbi Shimon that Ktaf doesn't have dan shvi'is? Chara is not true because there it's Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yeshua, passing Rabbi Yeshua. Here it's Chamcham Rabbi Shimon, she passed Chachamim. So Rabbi Yehuda says V'dam Yoyi is it separate? Kilarabba. Kilarabba is a very fascinating word. Kol Rabba. There's an article Kilarabba, which is in the Kavanaki, means Adarabba. So, but this is already well into Nun Tes Amrav, so we'll leave this for tomorrow.